Hello, Master006, back for part 3 of Mega Man and Bass. Last time I completed Cold Man stage, and while that does indeed potentially open up 2 Robot Masters stages to the right hand side of the screen, let's continue to take out the ones on the left hand side of the screen. And that means next up I'm going to be facing off against Astro Man? Yep, Astro, along with one other Robot Master we'll be seeing in a few videos' time, is one of 2 Robot Masters from Mega Man 8 who makes a reappearance in this game. And since Cold Man's borrowed heavily from Frost Man's stage from Mega Man 8, guess which stage from Mega Man 8 Astro Man's going to borrow heavily from? Yeah, a bit of a no-brainer. As you can see, the level is clearly different, and that's certainly a good thing, because those areas outside with the reappearing disappearing blocks, and the inside sections with those mazes, were kind of tedious and kind of annoying. Not that this level doesn't have its own fair share of annoyances, this screen actually chief among them for me, just because I always seem to get hit there. But oh well, moving on. One of the gimmicks we'll see in Astro's stage is these falling platforms. It's pretty obvious that they're going to fall. For most people affiliated with Mega Man who know the game really well will be rather suspicious of those platforms. It certainly seems obvious enough that they're going to do something, and yet, sure enough, they fall down, so just don't dilly-dally on them. As soon as you step on them, or pretty soon after you step on them, just jump off and you'll be fine. Now, I make a right pig's ear of this screen. At least in terms of just my time taken to actually get by. I'm kind of waiting for an opportune moment to get by, because what I don't want to do is have an enemy kind of spawn in from behind this screen and knock me in the pit. But I wait a little bit too long, in between rounds to actually do it. What you really want to do is kind of either wait for an enemy to spawn in behind you just so you can move on, or spawn in front of you which you can immediately kill and then move on. What you don't want to do is hang around for about 2 or 3 seconds after an enemy's just spawned in, and then try and set off, because you know exactly what's going to happen. An enemy will come in from the background just while you're jumping over the pit, it'll hit you, it'll knock you back, and it'll probably send you into the pit, and you don't want to do that. That brings us to the roughly halfway point of the stage, and to the first password section, excuse me, there. And it's just a simple case of Simon Says, really. So the button on the right flashed up first, then again second up, and then the button on the left flashed up last. So yeah, right, left, and that's a pretty easy one. The second one will be a bit more tricky, but still not so bad. So now we get into a screen with rising platforms, and you can see there's a nasty little row of spikes along the top there. So yeah, do not hang about on these platforms too much. The ones earlier, they kind of like telegraphed it a little bit, so that gives you a bit more time to react. But in that second bit, the floor is a bit higher, and it actually gives you far less room to manoeuvre. So yeah, walk very quickly through that, or slide through. Yeah, a decent idea to either just make your way through pretty quickly. And if you're wondering why I chose to got there rather than go through what is actually a secret passage, I'll come back to that when I start talking about CDs. But yeah, this is the area. That's the area where I screwed up my CD counter collecting. Brilliant. Now we get into reappearing, disappearing blocks, much actually like Astro Man stage. And this can be a bit of a pain in the neck, at least with Mega Man, since it doesn't have a double jump. But provided you know where they are, which thankfully I do, and you're quick enough, it's still not too bad. The spikes there do make it a little bit awkward, but no, well. So this password, as you can see, has 5. It's a little bit tricky to jump over the middle one as well, with that thing up there as well, which you can potentially, I think, bonk your head on it. So yeah, just be careful. But again, you only have 5 flashing lights to remember in the Simon Says game, so it's still not that bad. And oh, I wish I had base so that I could aim upwards for this screen, because that enemy on the ceiling is going to be flipping annoying. Not quite so much previously, although it did kind of corner me over the left-hand side for quite a bit. But yeah, here's where it's going to get really annoying. Just basically because I've got an enemy there that keeps popping up and down in the pit. I've got the goo enemy, or the goo-spitting enemy up there on the ceiling, and the timing is just absolutely dreadful in terms of trying to get by. So yeah, I almost died as well, so yay. Timing there just kind of sucked. More rising platforms, more spikes on the ceiling, so yeah, whenever you see any of these rising platforms, there's pretty much always spikes above you. Just be careful, get off them pretty much as quickly as you can, or when the safe spots are there. So here's the boss fight, and sometimes you get numbers counting down there. In fact, you always get numbers counting down there during the game itself, but on the recording software, for some reason, it doesn't actually just seem to be me, because I've seen other playthroughs of this game, and yeah, sometimes the numbers don't appear, and sometimes they do. It's really, really random, and really, really weird. But anyway, here's Astro Man, and again, he has a much different fight than he did in Mega Man 8, and a much more annoying fight, particularly when you're playing this on a keyboard, believe me. This move, where the best strategy seems to be that you have to kind of keep sliding from side to side, is a pain in the neck. It's more annoying with base, and we'll see that coming up later. But yeah, anyway, Astro Man can kind of do this attack where he soars down to the middle, and he produces copies of himself which shoot these kind of electric balls at you. And basically, yeah, you want to kind of slide from side to side, and you automatically kind of dodge the shots, and it works out really rather well. Wow, this boss fight is going absolutely terribly. I said it was harder, and yeah, wow, is it harder than Mega Man 8's version. His other attack, or the other attack you've kind of seen here that he does, is kind of go to the middle of the screen and then shoot the Astro Spheres down to each corner. They then kind of converge in the middle, so you want to kind of be in the middle and then jump over them. So here we go, jump over them and try and hit him where you can. The other thing you can see him kind of doing here is these dive bombs, which are really freaking random because you never quite know exactly where he's going to go. Sometimes he can go a really long horizontal distance as well when he's swooping down. I think he got me when he was kind of way over the left-hand side of the screen and I was trying to hide in the bottom right-hand corner. So yeah, those are really freaking annoying and very untelegraphed. It's very hard to know where he's going to go with that. His Astro Spheres also really freaking annoyingly block some of the shots. So yeah, I've been missing a lot of shots. Been going along. Admittedly, I was using charge shots. Maybe that had something to do with it. I don't know. But yeah, those Astro Spheres have an annoying habit of blocking out shots. Bleh. Anyway, after about halfway through, that would look like it was going terribly. It looked like I might even die. But hey, after he was about at about 3/4 health, I managed to somehow survive without taking another hit. So yay me. By the way, he also had another attack there that he didn't show off. We'll see that in the base fight. But anyway, I get copy vision for beating Astro Man. And basically what you do is you summon a copy of yourself that could also shoot and attack, and it can also serve as a decoy in certain cases as well. So it's not one of the weapons I would tend to use very much, only in very, very specific circumstances, aka a boss fight. But yeah, it is what it is. It's a fun one to play around with, but since I don't generally do that with Robot Master weapons, it's not one I typically use all that much. But anyway, that was the level through with Mega Man. So now we get to see the level through again with Bass. And once again, you're going to see that the level becomes surprisingly easier, or perhaps not unsurprisingly easier, because of Bass's double jump ability and dash and whatnot to get through. But the boss fight, well, I think it actually goes a little bit better, say for limitations of playing this on a keyboard. It takes an awful lot longer. But anyway, Bass's double jump certainly comes in handy here, just in terms of avoiding all the enemies. Particularly if you get into a bit of a pinch whereby it looks like you might kind of fall into, or might get hit so you can fall into the pit. Certainly helps here where you can shoot downwards and just hit these enemies that crawl along the floor. Mega Man, of course, there was no way he could actually really reach them unless he uses weapons, of course. But yeah, basically you can just shoot down and take them out really rather nicely. Also quite a rather nice dodge there. I never would have had pull off with Mega Man, because the jump would have just been, well, I'd only had one jump and it would have been incredibly tight to get through there. Not saying it would have been possible to get that, I suppose, to get through that unscathed, I suppose, but yeah, Bass certainly helps. In theory as well, Bass has a slightly easier time getting through this because he can dash. Also, if you do happen to be a bit gung-ho and try and go through quicker than you perhaps otherwise should, you do of course have that double jump so that if you do get hit and you do get knocked back, then you can save yourself, or you'll almost certainly be able to save yourself by using double jump to get out of the pit. Of course, Mega Man couldn't do that. I do get a bit gung-ho here and just kind of walk straight into the Met, which was not a good idea, but oh well. Bass certainly has an easier time with this thanks to his dash and double jump. Not that I use the dash, at least, anyway. This screen level comes all a lot easier as well, just because I can shoot diagonally up. Thank you for the extra life, by the way. Shame I'm not on a perfect run, that would have been a big help. Yeah. Anyway, onto the passworder again. They obviously are completely different. Any of those who are familiar with Mega Man games will know that these kind of sections. There was one actually in is it Swordman stage from Mega Man 8 where you get where you have to hit certain blocks in certain orders, and yeah, they change every time. So yeah, it's not like it's the same every time. The screen again, Bass's ability to shoot in every which way direction just makes taking out certain enemies a lot easier. His double jump also means I don't have to cut things quite so close. It does look like there that I touched the spikes, and if you went back and looked at the Mega Man version of this, it looked like it probably was also the case. There is some kind of slightly kind of bizarre hitbox kind of thing going on here. It's a bit difficult to describe, but yeah, it would have at least probably looked like I'd actually hit the spikes there, but not so apparently. And again, Bass can easily take out that enemy without getting hit. And you can easily just bypass this entire reappearing disappearing block section by just dashing and double jumping. And of course this bit as well is considerably easier with base, in the sense that obviously with a double jump you can just scale heights much easier. It also means I don't have to play around with that reappearing disappearing block over the spike pit, which can be really annoying to time, particularly since it's the first one that spawns in and you're always kind of nervous. I'm always incredibly nervous with that one, in the sense that I obviously can't really jump for it ahead of time or I'll land on the spikes, but equally I don't want to wait too long, because if I don't set off reasonably quickly, then of course the reappearing disappearing block will disappear and I'll likely fall onto the spikes. So yeah, that one always makes me nervous as Mega Man. Of course, not the case with base because of the double jump. And like I said, this screen becomes a lot easier with base, particularly since I can just take out those goo enemies on the ceiling. Once those are out of the way, the rest is just child's play. Just shoot the enemies that come out of the pit and then quickly make your way along. So yeah, that certainly looked like the level went by a lot better, didn't it? And I guess the boss does to some degree as well. Just takes longer. And oh look, the countdown appears. Why did it appear on Base's playthrough but not for Mega Man? I have no idea. I wasn't using any different recording software or anything like that. Why would it show up for one of them and not the other one? Absolutely no idea. Answers on a postcard. And there's this freaking annoying dive bomb attack, like I said. But here we go. Here's the new move. And this is the one you really want him to do, particularly with Mega Man. So basically, he's kind of like spits this kind of stream out to the floor and produces these pop-up enemies. And you want to take out the first two, but the third one, you don't want to take that out. You can take it out, and then he'll just resume his normal attacks. But if you leave the third one on, he will then that will stay on screen, popping up about 5 times, and all he will do is he will appear at the top of the screen and just come down vertically on top of your head. It's really easy to dodge. It's really easy to get lots of hits in, and that's the move you certainly want him to do. This attack is the one I do not want him to do with base. Yes, admittedly I can shoot up, but like I said, on the keyboard this is a pain in the neck. Sliding is not quite so bad, because all I have to do is hold down the down button while I'm, and I can kind of just slide. Unfortunately with the dash, I'm having to continuously double tap the left or right button, and it's really freaking annoying to do in quick succession. I don't mind doing it once or twice, but for that attack I have to keep moving across the screen left and right all the time, and when he does that move repeatedly, and sometimes it's about 2 or 3 times in succession, so I've got to end up dashing from left to right about 15 times in a row, it becomes a pain in the neck. He also did that attack really nicely, where he set up the last enemy that popped up right on the far hand side of the screen as well. That gives you far more room to manoeuvre, just to for when he kind of like dive bombs down. The first time he did it, if you go back and look, you'll see that the third enemy was right in the middle of the screen, so we don't have quite so much room to work with. But with that one being right at the edge of the screen, I had so much more room to work with. But yeah, it's definitely the attack you want him to do. Here he does it again, and since he's got about, I think he's got 6 health here, and I'm going to get him 5 times, because he does this 5 times, he's going to be pretty much done. But yeah, and again, a lot easier to actually hit Astro Man, I guess, with base than Mega Man, simply because he spends quite a lot of his time, flying around in the air. But still, his weaker base buster does make it a longer fight, but a slightly easier one in terms of, I suppose, being able to hit Astro Man. Again, swings and roundabouts. I'll say I do like Base's animation for the weapon get. Very, very cool. Not that Mega Man is bad or anything like that, but yeah. Plus we've seen Mega Man do that kind of thing loads of times before. It's nice to see something different there with Base. And of course he gets the exact same weapon. Copy Vision already described how that works, so yeah. Other weapons actually come out as a different colour, so I don't know if this one comes out as a different colour. Yeah, I think it just kind of seems to mirror much of the colour that Base is, but yeah. The colour change between the weapon gets for Mega Man and Base there perhaps slightly less obvious for that particular weapon. And that is the level done, both with Mega Man and Base. So that of course leaves the CDs. And this time, since I left enough time to be able to do Base's 1 second, and yeah, left enough time to actually talk over the end, we'll do Mega Man's first. So this screen, the first screen with all these drop-down platforms, there's obviously a CD in full view there. Just be very quick when you go off the platform. You can probably use another weapon to count, or maybe an ice wall. I don't know. I don't think it would quite have enough heights. But anyway, make sure you use the platform before it drops down too low. And on that platform with the Sniper Joe, there was some sparkles, so simply get Rush Search out and dig in the middle of that platform, and we're done. You briefly saw a CD there. I can't really get that with Mega Man. I'm going to need Base's double jump ability to get that. But on we go. Just past the first password section, we have another one of these ice blocks that we saw feature heavily in Cold Stage. So yeah, get out the flame weapon again, burn it, and there's also a CD hiding on the left-hand side of the screen there through the slide. Of course, Mega Man would have to get that because base can't slide through. And yeah, next screen take out that wall enemy, and there is another area with sparkles on the floor. So yeah, once again, get out Rush Search, dig in the area. It's the area that you can clearly see that you drop down with. So yeah, it's reasonably obvious yeah, where the spot to actually dig is. And moving on, a couple of screens later on, so we're going to the screen with the reappearing disappearing blocks. There are some sparkles there at the top of the screen, so again, once again, get Rush Search out. Again, it's very obvious, the little kind of green little lighting up area on that platform is where you have to dig, so yeah, get Rush Searching there. And here's where I screwed up. I've been talking about it for a couple of videos now, so yeah, this enemy causes a huge amount of problems, not so with base, but with Mega Man it's incredibly annoying. Through that little secret area there, that's where the CD is. Unfortunately, I accidentally got that on like when I first did it, and and it kind of clicked, and so I kind of went out of the game, went back, redid the level, and actually did it the way you obviously saw during the Let's Play, where I went down, took out the enemy, and got hit. But unfortunately, when I saved, somehow the CD remained. So blur. So yeah, I somehow screwed up, and I collected that CD as part of my Let's Play. Blur. Anyway. But the next screen, the last screen there with the reappearing disappearing blocks, there was a Rush Searcher icon just below that enemy, eye enemy. So I got out the ice wall to kill it, and yeah, that's the last one of Mega Man's. So there was 8 there with Mega Man. There are 4 I'm going to be getting with base. One of them, admittedly, I don't absolutely need to. I think this one potentially you could get with Mega Man as well. But with base's double jump, it's really easy to get in there and get that and collect that CD. It's a bit of a pain in the neck to get out. So you can either try and get out, you'll probably die, or you can maybe use the exit icon if you've got it, and that will be good as well. Now, like I said, for this one, you've definitely obviously got the wave burn or the burning weapon there, so you need to use that to break apart or break the wall apart in order to get the CD. But you really need basic double jump ability in order to burn it and then kind of get onto the area with the platform. And I say this one of the last 2 you don't technically need base for. You can certainly get with Mega Man, but yeah, there's another area over here that you can get to with a ladder that's completely hidden from view thanks to the Game Boy Advance's terrible scrolling. So you can get that one with Mega Man because you can certainly make it up to that ladder, and there are reappearing disappearing blocks there as well to help you get it. But there is indeed another CD on this screen that you certainly cannot get with Mega Man. So what you need to do is you need to get out Treble Boost, and then base can rise up the screen, and there is the last CD of this stage. So there you go, 12 CDs on the Astro Man stage, and yeah, that's the end of part 3, and I shall leave it there. So hope you've enjoyed this video, and I shall see you next time for part 4. Cheerio.